Nima, can you hear me?
Yes.
Окей, я не тот язык просто выбрал. 1, 2, 3, 4. Будет хорошо. Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту. Окей.
Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья. Начинаем наш воскресный вебинар. Как всегда,
Hello, dear friends. We begin our webinar as
Good day, everyone.
Mikhail Saninevich, me, the teacher of today's. Our topic is the eternal inner contemplation, the structure of the system of positive and negative forces. It should be a very positive lesson. Let's start with the system of negative forces, which characterize themselves with the person is powered by the system of negative forces and therefore uses desire to receive. The root of all faults is initially the plane of creation, which is to delight the creation. As a result of development of the 5 parts of him or the world. I'm sorry, wrong. Excerpt.
We are between two opposite forces, and between these two forces we can first of all control our destiny, our future state. We can be controlled if between these two opposite systems exists an upper mind that controls us through these two systems. Here we have the creator. Something, not sure why the pen is not writing well. Okay, the creator. And then we have two systems. A system of good and evil.
И между этими двумя системами находимся мы.
And then we are between these two systems.
Так, это как мы называемся творениями, да? Или как?
Творение.
What are we called? Creatures? Creatures. Let's write creatures.
Вот. И эти системы, эта система зла.
And this system of evil and the system of good
Сохраняя нас,
influences us,
сохраняя нас, в общем-то, нейтральными для
keeping us neutral
существования
for
иллюзии, по крайней мере, свободы воли.
keeping this illusion of freedom of will. Maybe not even an illusion, but that's how we can frame it.
То есть мы как вот это вот, знаете, помните игрушку?
So we like, you remember there was this rubber thing, the toy, yo-yo or the jumper, something that between the earth and the sky, heaven.
Okay, not really. Okay, so this is good and evil.
Так, ну, я вас слушаю.
Okay, so go ahead with your question. This drawing, we can show a lot of things. First of all, we're born with complete evil. And gradually, we are moving, inching towards good. Why? To give us freedom of will. The right to choose, the right for freedom. And for that, we need to be as if under two equal influences.
And what is good and what is evil? It's not really clear, relatively too clear. We probably need to explain that first.
Yes, all right. Evil is whatever doesn't correspond to the plan of creation, and the good is whatever corresponds to it. You can say that
Что добро и зло
good and evil is like this.
возвращение творения
The return of the creation
это план.
back to the creator. That's the plan.
Вот мы никуда не можем уйти.
We cannot escape this plan. But to move towards this plan, either through good or evil, that is our choice.
Дима из Ростова как раз
Dima from Rostov is asking, is it in the power of a person to regulate which system affects him?
Yes.
сказали свобода воли, вы дали такой
So you were talking about the freedom of choice, you were saying this thing.
Everything is given equally to a person, good and evil, at any point in time. We just don't understand this because they're given to us in different systems, different qualities. Maybe good is given from the point of view of, let's say, health, and evil appears to be some sort of events. They're not equal, coming from both sides, the way I drew it here. The good is an entire positive system, and evil is an entire negative system. And it's hard to draw it any differently, but every time we are under such influence that we can choose the goal of creation as our goal.
So you want to say that, as you said, we are egoists, we understand what is good and what is evil, or we don't really understand it?
We don't understand this at all. We need to learn here. If a person has a particular goal, mission, and his soul has ripened and he's pulled towards it, and he feels that his life is in this, and he begins to observe, look at this, and he can determine how he can work within the system.
At least it's very clear, comprehensible. They're asking, how the system of negative forces influences our world.
There is no system of negative and positive forces. These two systems, in general, they influence a person that is aimed towards spiritual ascent. In our world, it doesn't really influence him. He lives his regular life and it moves towards the point when he'll begin to receive correct inputs from both sides and develop this way.
The question from Düsseldorf: why a good force system needs an evil system?
In order to give a person the freedom of will. Go on.
Victor is asking how not to confuse the side of the evil and the side of the good. I don't know the purpose of the creation. Maybe the good, something's good is in fact something is evil.
This is something that you'll be taught when you begin to seriously relate to the goal of your life. Then you'll be brought to a teacher and to the group, because only in a group you'll be able to realize your freedom of will.
Roman is asking, which mechanisms are there to manage to correct those things?
Everything. Billions and billions of things. Not a single atom or microbe exists without a particular purpose, but only in order to bring the highest creature, which is a human being, towards revelation, freedom of will, and towards its correct realization of this quality.
How am I supposed to track how I'm directed?
How do you know? How? You
That's
don't
what
know.
I'm saying.
Right. You don't know. We're talking about what exists. Let's say we have people here sitting in front of us. Each one of us is being directed, but they don't feel the fact that they're being directed. But they can catch themselves on the fact that they are given a freedom of will. It means coming to the lessons, participating in certain activities, getting close to friends, and so on.
On which stage a person can understand what is good and what is evil?
What does it mean to understand? When a person comes to us, then right away he begins to hear that good means correct attitude towards the friends, because together with them you create a system where the upper force is revealed, and then you get acquainted with it and you begin to create. You become similar to the Creator.
And bad is something that stands in the way.
Yeah, evil is as if they're messing with you, but you can determine what these forces are right away.
And what is good and bad outside of group?
No, it's just an animalistic life. There's nothing there. Everything that happens in your regular life is not considered at all. Only to bring us to the beginning of a realization of freedom of will.
How am I supposed to relate to a normal life then?
To the regular life? Well, it says about this, when you will understand that before you there's an opportunity to reach the goal of creation, then you'll relate to this life as if to a tool, to make it so that it will help you to realize this goal.
So it's going to be, we will see how to use this life so we can use it in a spiritual purpose.
Yes. And then it will be rid of of all unnecessary things. You need to live, you need to support yourself, your family, but everything else is internal.
I want to understand. There are people in Nikolaev, Stavropol, and they're sitting together right now. They want to reveal the Creator. For that, they need to do certain actions. They need to connect, right? And all of that is called good. And there's something that influences the person outside of this action, and he's at that for hour or 2 hours a day. How to relate to those things that influence us? That also come from the Creator.
I can say just one thing, friends. In your regular life, you need to be simply a normal citizen, not more than that. All of your energy that remains, opportunities, time, all kinds of your internal qualities need to be used to attain the system. You need to learn for this purpose the introduction to the method of Kabbalah, read articles, read articles from Shamati. I heard, let's say from this morning's lesson, we began to study the lessons from the Italian Congress that will occur in a month and a half. So we started to go over these lessons already for 2 hours today. We went over this. 3 quotes from the first lesson of the Congress, and altogether there are about 25 quotes. If you will download this lesson and go through it, then you don't even understand what kind of bulk of material you'll be able to grasp. So I really recommend for you, and tomorrow morning we'll have a similar lesson, and so on and so forth. And it's a continuation.
The question from Nikolaev. How is your altruism is expressed? You studied Kabbalah for 40 years already.
I try to explain to all people what kind of good did the Creator create, the system through which we can reveal Him and understand Him and ascend up to His level. This science, this method, I try to explain and chew up for everyone through the 40 years.
This is how your bestowal is expressed, right?
Yes, there's nothing else that I can do. I received this from my teacher and did all of this before him as well. I brought him students and wrote some books and helped him in all kinds of things. What can you offer me?
No, that is clear. Understood. Bestow. What can you offer to your students? What can they bestow?
The same thing. Teach them what I do. Continue.
But not everyone can be teachers.
They can be helpers. They can be disseminators. No. Everyone can. There's no other work is given to us in this world practically. Everything else is simply to exist. That's what it says. You need to exist in this world, receive necessary portion of calories, your 24-hour ration, and everything else is disseminating the knowledge of the Creator, of the upper force. Nothing else is needed. Nothing else is needed. Then they can attain any state that they wish, and they will wish good states, and they will be able to attain them.
And that is called bestowal and love, which is mentioned in Torah. If I tell about the worlds, it's bestowal.
I don't know what is the goal of you explaining this to him?
Oh, the goal. What goal could I have?
It's not simple. You need to prepare. You need to pay attention to the person you're talking to, the way you instruct them. You see who is before you. You understand how to relate to them. This is how love is expressed. Love towards creatures and love towards the Creator. You are between them. You're between the Creator and the creatures. You pass on to them knowledge of the Creator, how you can get close to the upper force, how to begin to be fulfilled by it, to become similar to the Creator, to attain this state of perfection and eternity, just in the way that He exists. And you try to explain this to everyone. What greater thing can there exist for a person when he understands that he can attain this level of the Creator and he is given an opportunity to the tools, a method? What more can you do for the people?
Sergey from Hamburg is asking, why am I supposed to simply exist in this world instead of enjoy this world which is created by the Creator in order to fulfill the creation?
Go ahead,
Why can't I just exist and enjoy it? It is created for enjoyment, isn't it?
Okay, so you're sitting here with us and you're suffering and you're asking, why can't you receive pleasure? And I'm telling you that the Creator gives you particular desires that point you towards other types of pleasures. So basically, Sergey, the goal of creation is to bring contentment, to fulfill the creatures with the highest possible state. But we need to realize which state is the highest state. It's not certain limitations or locking yourself up in some cell or hitting your head against the wall. Creator wishes only one thing from us, to attain His degree. Do you understand what this means? This perfect force, eternal force, wishes for us here and now, in the state that we're in now, to become just like Him, just like Him. So, get fulfilled. There are no other fulfillments. That's first of all. Secondly, there exists a system, a program of creation, which is why to receive pleasure from what you wish to receive pleasure from is not something that's possible. Who is this person from? From Hamburg? But he's from Russia, right? So what are you doing there? It's not clear. You will be pushed from state to state, from place to place, until you will figure out how to realize yourself in this program of creation.
There are plenty of questions that I'd like to read next. The body, which is feeds off the and therefore, if it seems that people accomplish positive things, in fact they only pursue self-fulfillment.
Of course, a person is an egoist. He wishes to fulfill himself, and the problem is that it's not happening, which brings us to a certain crisis, an internal crisis. Do you know how many people are writing about these things? Truly, people, poor people, through all kinds of ecological problems, through government, through health issues, we are constantly being coerced by the upper force, pressured by the upper force. And Kabbalah is becoming needed these days. Because without it, wherever you turn to, you feel blows. But the solution here is very simple, but it's difficult psychologically. And it is to plug into the group, connect to your group, and not the way you're sitting now, looking pretty at your desks like students. No. To plug into your group means to create from all of us one common desire for the Creator. And then, in this common desire, the Creator will be revealed, and this will be our quality. You understand? And with this, we will have solved all problems. This psychological problem, of course, can be resolved, but it's not simple. And this is what we're learning.
Until then, the questions are as follows. All the things we have, negative things in the world, such as robberies, killings, murders, are they all coming from the force of negative forces in creation?
Basically, yes. You see, until while we're still in egoism, this system of positive forces also appears to us as negative. Look, this system of positive forces tells us to give, to love. What is this? Are these positive advices? To pull from yourself, right? So when we're talking about good and evil within us in our uncorrect state is problematic.
There is a question, if I am born as egoist and all of my I is ego, how can I be neutral?
You see, when a person is being led on the path of creation, then he's placed in certain conditions where he's at least partially neutral. He's given a freedom of will, he's given particular states where he can have this freedom. But as a rule, that's inside of the group.
Can you tell how the evil appears and how it's created?
Very simply. Evil in our world does not exist. Evil appears only between friends. That's the kind of evil we're talking about. The kind of evil that prevents us from attaining the goal. And the goal is revealed in our connection.
Therefore you say, enter the group and feel the evil, right?
Yes. In Kabbalah, this evil is like between animals in our world.
Okay, but it exists.
But only to bring us to the group.
Everybody's asking how this good and kind Creator could come up with all the sins that exist in this world. How do Kabbalah see it?
Kabbalah sees everything as absolute good, because they know all of this upon themselves. He sees how this influences him, how weak he is. The Creator does everything. However you want to turn this and twist this, maybe this is I, still the Creator does this. The only issue here is that through all of these influences upon us, to begin to build a system of correct influence of this feedback loop. And there's nothing you can do here. Don't pay attention to our entire world. Just don't pay attention to how much you don't pay attention. A sober attitude towards this world, in order, if you want to change something, you can change things only through the right connection between people with the correct intention towards the goal.
So we can criticize the Creator's actions and so on, right?
These are foolish things, like a child who stumps his feet and demands something.
The question's from Minsk. When somebody tells me that there is somebody who's creating conditions for me, I think that is, I image it as there's a director above me.
Correct. He leads you, but he leads you in such a way where you yourself will begin to understand how to make decisions.
The question: why does Creator doesn't give me? Why does this Creator only attracts but never really bestows, never really gives?
You understand? Imagine that before you there's a table with one type of sweets, and you're tied to this table and left there for the entire life. And then what do? I know. It's known that, let's say, people that work in a bakery or in a factory that makes candy, they really love salty fish. There's a contrast. A person will not feel sour, sweet, or bitter if it's not in contrast with its opposite. Only through good and evil, through the correct relationship between them, we begin to develop, begin to attain the Creator. Why do we need this good and evil? Good is an absolute quality of the Creator. Evil is an absolute opposite to that, and we need to create within ourselves correct proportions, correct interconnection between these two opposite systems. And by doing that, we'll be able to feel the Creator. How should I say this? There's a person, let's say, our producer, our conductor, and screenwriter. He's a person, and he has a certain quality. Okay, we need to attain the Creator. So does that mean to attain all of his qualities, or to attain something that's behind these qualities? Basically, the good and evil is given to us in order to attain his external side, and then to attain his essence, to attain his initial thought, initial intention towards us, and then after that, even more deeper, where all these secrets are.
So I first attain that he is the good screenwriter, and then I understand that we see his right and left sides, how he works in a perfect way, and then we understand that he's kind and good, and this is the point we come to, right? Or right?
Basically, yes.
Who creates this contrast between me and him? Who does that?
There's nothing that I do. I simply need to discern what the Creator does with me here. But in this discernment, in this analysis, I need to understand what comes from Him at every moment in time. At every point in time, I need to short-circuit myself on the Creator. I need to relate everything to Him. If I relate everything in my life to the Creator, then I will gradually move towards the Creator until I reveal Him completely, and then this entire reality disappears, because it was revealed to me only for me to relate it to the Creator, to the root, and there remains only myself and the Creator. While the world disappears, that is what is called alama, an imaginary world. Hosts. I myself don't need to look for contrasts, right?
We will receive everything that we need. The main thing is to determine the Creator, to define the Creator.
Question. You drew here good and evil, and Dmitry from Moscow is asking, from which world does this division begin into good and evil?
It it's the correct question, starting with the world of Absolute.
Can you define what this is, the world of Absolute?
The world of Absolute is the world of goodness. Good is the world of good, which we can say, and the world of evil is within worlds of Yitzhak Asiya. But there are also the worlds that are good, the parts that are good. Well, there's a lot to explain here.
Can we say that evil is my egoistic perception of this world?
Evil is everything that I cannot relate to the Creator in every moment of time. It's not the evil itself, but the cause of whatever is happening. If it's not toward the Creator, it's evil, and that's how it's really materialize itself. And if it's related to the Creator, it's always good.
In other words, if something has happened, and I can say that there's none else besides him, everything comes from him, that the state is called evil. If we cannot say that it comes from
that state is called evil. Maybe that's not how it's exactly called, but you will determine it as evil. But if you clearly define that this something is coming from the Creator, but it's absolutely 100%, then it's any evil which could be there. It could be anything, a death. It will turn into a goodness and vitality, aliveness.
How can I check this if I'm unable to fool myself?
Try it. You will develop all sorts of analytical systems when you will understand how, in a better way, to define the goodness, to determine goodness, where they come from, what are the sources, and as a result, without creation in us of such analytical system, we cannot do anything, because that is the world system of the worlds.
So we need to do these types of exercises mechanically, right?
Yes, of course, yes. Just tying everything to the Creator.
And what's the purpose of everything else?
To confuse you, as if there exists, in fact.
Why do we need the group?
Because you cannot direct yourself to the Creator on your own. You only in the connection with the friends. In the middle, in the center of your connection, when you tie them together, when you connect them together, when you want to embrace them, inside of that, you are directed toward the Creator.
Victoria is asking, how does the Creator determine the degree of an egoism for each particular person?
Yes, very different in combination, and how the Creator determines something. He doesn't. It's not some kind of creature that sits there out there on a cloud with all sorts of tools of calculation. There's no such thing. It's a system. It's a enclosed system, integral system,
to which we are tied.
Toward which we're tied completely.
We don't understand this.
Of course, we don't understand. That doesn't matter. Like a child is born, a newborn, does he understand where he is? Of course, he doesn't. Just the same way we don't understand. We are in constant, how do you say it?
Care.
Care, yeah.
Everyone's given a degree of egoism that is necessary for that person to reveal this system, right? Okay. A question: what does it mean to relate a thought or a situation to the Creator? Is this possible in life? How to do this internal action?
Think about it, at least. Everything that happens to you, inside of you, in your head, in your heart, in your mind, and in your desires, think that all of that comes from the Creator, and you only sense His thoughts, His desires. Don't appropriate anything to yourself, but appropriate to Him. It doesn't matter what it is, what thoughts and feelings, all sorts of negative thoughts, it doesn't matter.
From Him.
It all comes from Him. Just appropriate it to Him and see what attitude toward those desires you will have, how they change on their own, how the world changes through those desires, if they're assigned to me or to the Creator. It's very interesting way of living.
It's clear that we'll be able to fail in this exercise.
Yes, of course, we will always forget. We will always forget about these things. I cannot sense myself, perceive myself as someone who managed by him. But when I short-circuit myself on him, and I realize that all desires and all the thoughts are from him, then I'm called a creature. Otherwise, I don't even exist.
When I'm in a state where I'm completely not free, then I'm called a creature.
Yes, and the other state doesn't exist. All this flow comes from the Creator, and if it's otherwise, then it just erases a person from the system, from the entire system.
Question. In my mind, there's not a single question or complaint towards Kabbalah, but I'm stumbled by the sense of.
That is very good. That's revelation of the truth, that she is far. But the fact that she is far and she senses herself that way, that's already nearing, that's already coming close to him. That's already some kind of partial as a truth. It's already an advancement forward.
A question from Ukraine. Two forces are created by the Creator in order to come as a result to a state of realizing where these states don't exist. There's no desire to receive, no desire to bestow. There's just truth, none else besides him. So these forces are given to a person just for that?
Yes, but in order for us to learn this truth, some kind of neutral reality, we need to gather all the negative and positive sensations, thoughts, actions, and to start to combine them in such a way so that we would get this system, and as a result, this system would show to us the upper plan. There's nothing else, only the point in Keter. In the beginning of the creation.
Let's finish reading and then continue the question. And only as a result of studying Kabbalah with an intention to attain a state of bestowal, to add to this force the same contentment that it wishes to give to us. A person corrects his intention. A person is able, through that, to build his vessel from reception to bestowal. Through these changes, a person comes to similarity of form with upper force and begins to represent the goal of creation. A question from Veronica. She wishes to clarify. She's asking, how can I figure out how the Creator tricks me, where he gives me up, where he creates the rules of the game?
Of course, and we will discover that even the analysis that you make, is it him doing it or me? And behind that, after that, we will sense the point of the freedom choice.
Still, you're coming to this point of freedom of will, even though you're saying that in absence of freedom of will is the creation.
Yes, but precisely beyond that point, we reveal this hole in a needle, very narrow entrance through which we can enter the true state. True reality.
Question from Orenberg. In Kabbalah, attainment of the system means controlling the system?
Yes, if we attain the right system, and to the degree we attain it, we can take upon ourselves, and we must take upon ourselves, instruments of the control. Practically, that's the point we need to come to. All the system of the worlds, as a result, they are outside of us, but gradually we include include them into ourselves. We absorb them. We begin to work with them as with our own instrument.
This is usually a very difficult point in our students. They think that by studying something, they'll be able to control the system.
You connect to it. You begin consist of it. That's a result of that's. Wait a second. If you study some kind of system and you begin to contact with it, with that system, you begin to work with it, that system is completely under your influence, under your power. More or less, less of right, more left, and so on. You completely own it. You begin to connect to it. You live in it. It doesn't. You cannot rip it off yourself. You begin to exist inside of that system. That is called entering the sensation of the upper world.
This is an internal question. Why can't people predict the future, feel what will happen in the next moment, and why it's needed?
It's a very confusing and difficult question, really. I've observed many, for example, this Wolf Messing in Russia. Maybe there are different. I've left Russia in 1984. I left Russia even earlier, in the beginning of 80s.
You talked about meeting someone like that in Canada as well.
I look at you. Yeah, I met him. So, yeah, there are the people know everything in advance, but on this earthly life only. But that's not really interesting. What can change in my life, really? Even if it does, what difference does it make? Nevertheless, I have to tell that everything is from the Creator. So I'm not really interested in my future, my earthly. I'm interested in attainment which I can accomplish during that time. That is eternal. That is something that remains after death, after life of this body. This is something that you take and it remains with you and you live in it. Practically, you don't die. Death is of material body. It does not reflect on my spiritual attainment. You are in it.
Is it true that a Kabbalist isn't interested in the future?
Earthly? No, yes. Not at all. Maybe earthly future that can somehow affect his spiritual advancement, but the rest, what difference does it make?
Well, I mean, in relation to our spiritual advancement, let's say in which year will thousands of people reveal the Creator? Those kinds of things.
No. I'm only interested in my participation in it, where I have a freedom of choice. That's what I'm interested in.
But either interested or not, as if a Kabbalist wants to, can he know the future ahead of time? What's related to this?
I'm sure not, but I'm sure that nobody will mess with it because that way he the quality of Binah has to be above Malchut. That's the law.
What does it mean?
The bestowal above reception, meaning I don't need any information. I want to work without information. I want to bestow. Otherwise, I just bury myself inside of the ego.
Question from New York. Which part of the system determines how many times do I need to die and be born again? Can studying Kabbalah influence this?
You can influence it, yes. It's written in an article. How many times the person needs to go through the cycles. Let's agree right now that we don't want to come back to this world anymore. That's it. Let's in this life. we will accomplish everything that we need to accomplish, and that's it. We'll just say goodbye to this world. There's no worse than this world. It's the lowest of all of them. It's a horrendous state against which any spiritual state is much more above it, cleaner.
Please tell me, what does it mean to finish with this world?
Finish with this world means that to be in your qualities equal to the next degree. That's all.
Question from Prague. A Kabbalist receives more information from being more sensitive to his soul?
Kabbalist receives more information because in his soul, I don't know. The soul is the quality of bestowal which the person attains or acquires. If he doesn't have that level, then he doesn't have a soul. So in the soul, in the quality of bestowal, a person can understand where he is and which level.
Olga from Moscow is quoting from what we read before. Since we represent a branch coming out of eternality, then everything that comes from the root represents perfection. Everything else represents the opposite, suffering. So, if everything that exists comes from the Creator, then the negative qualities that we have are simply opposite to the root, and our goal is to unite these negative qualities within us. She's saying that the root doesn't have the evil.
In the roots, there's no evil, but is there good in goodness? I don't know which you're talking about, but because if you say something, if you point at something, there has to be something the opposite to it. One cannot exist without the other. Only the Creator. And if you say that there is also a positive force, then automatically there's a negative against it.
Question. How can this understanding of evil disappear?
No, evil doesn't disappear because it is necessary for good to exist. It creates the equilibrium, balance, because the creation has to exist in relation to the Creator.
Can you bring up at least one example of this balance between good and evil, let's say maybe even another world?
The balance between good and evil is the existence of atoms when for instance, when absorption and extraction they both are directed to the perfection, to self-completion, mutual completion, so that in combination the Creator would be revealed. We don't need the good and bad. We need to realize that they cannot exist without each other. Minus and without plus, and plus without minus don't exist, only together. But in the resistance between plus and minus, in that resistance we discover the Creator. How big the plus is, how big minus is, to that degree we reveal the Creator. The volume. Okay, the volume.
Still, a Kabbalist constantly sees these systems of good and evil. Can you describe how does the evil remain and then is balanced by the good, and then in there the Creator is revealed?
When you penetrate those systems, you realize that they're in balance, and they're given to you so that you can come to balance.
So there's no way to bring in some sort of an external example.
External examples we cannot bring because this world is not an example of the balance.
No such examples in our world.
No, there's no such examples. Our world exists in order to bring the person to their spirituality, to the necessity to connect. And that's why we have everything that we have in this world are are broken pieces in verse shape, and they all exist to bring us to the bright attainment that there is none else besides Him.
Well, okay, let's say we have a family. In a family, there's some sort of harmony, love, and each one also has certain memories of arguments that they have. Is this similar to this? Or let's say right now we love one another, but still I remember what he did to me, what she did to me, and what happened yesterday and the day before yesterday. But right now we're in a certain equilibrium.
So you consciously balance yourself.
Right, but yet I still remember what happened. So the evil doesn't disappear.
Doesn't matter. You and him, you and her have this. You realize that there are two forces: the evil and a bad and good, and in relation, you want to balance those two forces, right?
We neutralize this evil, and it's controlled in a way. We're controlling it, right?
Disappear, right? Yes, in such a matter, the spiritual force exists.
Okay, even if I know you have this rule, even if you argued with your wife in the evening, in the morning, you don't remember about this, right?
What do you mean? I don't remember. You make an idiot out of me. Oh, everyone remembers everything in the morning.
But you decided that from the morning you start a clean slate.
Yes, clearly. As a show-off on purpose to say good morning, dear, let's go for a walk right now. It's gonna be such and such way. We talk as has nothing happened.
So you have a certain covenant. You made a covenant and you decided?
For many years. Sometimes she just she snaps out.
But what do you get strength for this?
From the other one. You agreed with the other one, and you showed him that you have to sustain. It's a good work. I suggest that to all of our friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean men and women. I mean friends in the group.
Why not with my wife also? Even if she doesn't study, why not?
There needs to be a certain covenant from her side as well.
So, yeah, we come to an agreement that the day has passed. That's it. We raise it.
So a person egoistically understands that this is good for them.
Of course, otherwise you won't be able to. Of course. If we are married for, 50 years, people don't live that long.
That you may say take strength from the Creator, from somewhere else, not from the Creator?
No. It's not. There is no Creator. It's the desire. It's where can you go? Nowhere.
Even the desire to...
Yeah, then you need to generate the system of...
I'm saying the Creator is revealed in a group, so where do I get the strength?
And a group for this is different.
Okay, question. So it turns out that Kabbalah is also a revelation of the ego. So how can we live without the ego?
No, you can't. Who said that the ego disappears? It doesn't disappear. It becomes equal to the goodness. The one system has to exist against the other. That's how it's written. The Creator has created evil against the good, and as we drew it here, the Creator is above it, and the creation is beneath it. And we need to, in a combination of good and evil, we need to rise toward Him.
Alexander's asking, when the Creator is revealed, is that accompanied by a revelation of various tragedies and catastrophes?
No, those catastrophes are internal. states of despair, the twilight zone, sort of, when a person doesn't realize what controls him, because there is inner development of the new systems of acknowledgement, of realizing, recognizing, but no more than that. The people that surround person don't really notice anything. Maybe they see that the person is tired somewhat, but no more than that.
You were able to observe this with Rabash?
Well, to the degree I understood his state, but sometimes he had such a states. Yeah, sometimes it happens to Kabbalists.
Please tell me, this evil inclination, was it developing over thousands of years?
Good and evil is created by one force, which is completely detached from those good and evil.
In terms of amplitude, this evil was created small and then it developed?
It was developing from one force.
And now reached this state that it is in now.
When is now? Now the time doesn't exist. It's always in a person, not in a world. On the spiritual levels, it's all balanced. They're all balanced.
Question from Bulgaria. The limitation of egoism allows it to trick a person?
No, it may seem to us that way, but we cannot fool anyone. And there is no such thing as fooling around. We make a decision and we realize those decisions in some actions. Who can we fool here? No one, not ourselves, not anyone else. It's one system, it's an enclosed system. What kind of foolishness is this? To lie to somebody, to twist someone. As a result, you twist yourself, in fact. If more we learn about upper systems, we'll see that the revelation of it directs a person to be direct, to be honest, but not entirely our human honesty, because we need to think how to bring the people toward the goal. Something is not completely said. It's very.
It doesn't concern you that such a small amount of people are interested in this?
Nope. Obviously, in upper system, the upper system doesn't need more of realizers, of executors of such a program. Enough what we have. No, I don't think it's necessary. Exists a huge nature, huge orchestra, and there's one conductor who just who conducts.
And there isn't a desire to bring this to more people, for more people to reveal this?
They will see it, they will observe it. All that one system, or if all those people that sit in front of us and they start doing what they're supposed to do, the entire humanity will simply explode, and everyone will do what's necessary.
We have a small announcement relative to Kazakhstan. 20th and 23rd of June, there will be two
we don't see Astana, are they?
Almata and Astana. What are your wishes for this week?
My wishes until the next week, and I recommend insistingly today's morning lesson, beginning from today, all of them probably, they will be dedicated to upcoming Congress. This is the most important topic. Let's learn it, let's study it together, and write all sorts of questions to us. Be healthy, stay healthy. See you next week. Goodbye.